Hello everybody. So today I thought that I would put the famous sold out Anastasia Brow Freeze to the test against an Elmer's glue stick and some hair pomade as well. I said, why am I so disorganized? This is like sitting on my bed. I'm like, all right, cool. And we're also going to be trying out a hair pomade just to kind of see like what works best. So if something's comparable, you guys have some options. If you don't want to spend, I think this is $20. Let's try the Elmer's glue stick on one side. I definitely have a better brow than the other, so that's going to be kind of hard with that because this brow I just tend to like a little better. I've actually been using the glue stick quite a bit before I got this because I heard it was comparable. So with the glue stick, what I like to do is I actually go against the grain first and I just take it on its side and then kind of brush it through. And then I just take a spoolie. This is from a brow pencil that I have. And then I just brush the brows upwards. And then I'll take it onto this actual spoolie. But the reason I go against the grain first is that way the hair lays a little bit more flat, because with it being underneath the hairs, it has something to stick to when you lay it down onto the skin. Otherwise, when the glue is just on top of the hair, it's not really sticking down to anything. And it is purple, but don't let that scare you. It dries clear. And this does dry down pretty quickly. Okay, so that actually did a pretty good amount. I've tried soap brows, but I've only tried it with Dove soap. I need to try the actual Dr. Pear's soap that everyone uses. It's like the clear orange one. So now for the brow freeze. It's so cool. It's super clear, like transparent. Like you almost wouldn't know anything was in there except for, you know, obviously I've tried it, so you can see just the little indent. So I just take my brush in there and I just spin it around, and then I kind of take off excess just so there's not too much product in my brows. And then I just brush them upwards, which as you can see straight away, that's gripping the brows a lot better than that glue stick was. And it's nice because this side of my brow, for example, flips up naturally, whereas this side doesn't. So I can kind of make them match a little more. And then after putting them up like this, I just take the tip of the spoolie and kind of put them down. Now this stuff feels almost wet. There's quite a big difference there. I just feel like this one, I mean, it's more of a matte finish. We'll see if this one dries down. I can't remember if it does, to be honest. But yeah, I actually like the matte finish on this one. I just feel like it didn't hold as well. I would say the Brow Freeze actually has a bit of a stronger hold, surprisingly. You would think a glue stick might actually be stronger, but the glue stick actually did pretty well. So I'm actually going to try out this pomade next to this one so we see what the Elmer's glue looks like and we can see what the Brow Freeze looks like. So I'm just gonna wipe this off and then we're gonna try it with this Duke Cannon News Anchor pomade and see how that goes. And one thing I will say with these is you seem to have more time to work with the Brow Freeze than you do with the Elmer's glue stick. All right, so I just took some toner and took that off just to make sure my brow is nice and clear. Also, I hate the feel of cotton on my skin sometimes, especially dry cotton. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't do it. There's not much left in here, but it's clear, just like the Brow Freeze. Oh, speaking of, I'm gonna put that cap on. I don't know if that like dries out or anything, but that would be bad. So I'm just going to dip into there, which there's not much left in there. And this is more of like a waxy feel than the pomade. The pomade's almost like a gel feel. Wow, that actually works really well. So that seems to be brushing them up pretty well. I'm curious to see how it actually holds. I know there are other hair gels that people love to use. I think there's one, I'll pop it up here. I think it's like Got to Be Glued is the one that I'm thinking of. So I did want to try a hair product just to see how it goes. And I'll also put up the price for this as well. I just don't know. I stole it from my boyfriend. This technique does make your brow hairs look more full. So if you have pretty sparse brows or thin brows, this is a good technique for you if you want to create fuller brows but want them to look natural. So this actually feels pretty similar to how the Brow Freeze did. I don't know if it's gonna stick to the skin as well as the Brow Freeze does, and by that I mean where you put it is exactly where the brow hairs are gonna stay. This one feels like it's a little bit more movable. Alrighty, so now that they have dried down a little bit, I wanted to get close up so you guys can see the finish of the brows and just like the difference. There's actually not that huge of a difference when I look at them. I will say this brow feels tighter, like just when I move it. You know how like when you have a really strong brow gel in and it feels hard? So this is definitely more comfortable, but I wouldn't say it's as strong as this one. This one I did notice has a teeny bit of texture. I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera, but there's just a teeny bit of texture in there, like of the product balling up, which could be because of my brush here, because there's some fuzzies in there. I've tried cleaning it, it's just kind of hard to get it out of there, you know? When I do a brow gel first, I like to use a pomade because I've found when I've tried to use a pencil, it just doesn't seem to stick. So if I'm using a pencil, I'll typically use it before I put on the Brow Freeze rather than afterwards, just because it doesn't really stick down as well. So I'm going to be using my Anastasia Caramel Pomade. I say caramel, but I know most people say caramel. That's how it's spelled. So I honestly am probably the one saying it wrong. I'll show you how I fill them in. This is an Anastasia, oh my gosh, it's totally rubbed off. I think it's a 7B brush. I got it a while ago. I have two of them. I have one for my kit and one for me because I just think it's the best brush for brows because it's very thin, so you can make really thin hair-like strokes, whereas with other angled brushes, sometimes they're just too thick. So with my brows, I like to, typically I'll start on the top, but since we kind of have that spiky look, I am going to start underneath, and I kind of like to start in the brow rather than right underneath because we have more product on the brush right now. So if we are to go in with all that product, it's gonna look really heavy. So I like to start in the middle where it doesn't matter quite as much and kind of take it onto the end. And this way I can kind of fake that my brow is thicker over there. And the product is kind of matte, so it looks like your actual eyebrow. And then I'm just taking it up there. And notice how I'm not taking it flat. I'm taking it in this direction, so it looks like actual hairs are growing there. So it's a lot more natural and less like a blocked out brow. And then on the bottom, instead of just going in like this, I take the bottom of the brush to where I want it to start and then just flick it up. So just be careful with where you place your brush. And then as for pulling away and dragging up, you don't have to be as careful. And then I'm just kind of filling in the top a little bit. And you absolutely don't have to fill in your brows. I'm just used to it and I like having a little bit more of a structured brow. I just like the way it looks rather than just super spiky. I'm just not totally on board with it yet, you know? Like I'm like, my old habits are gonna die a little bit harder, all right? And so that is kind of nice about this is it's still movable after you've put it on. So it looks really natural. I like how that brow looks. And that was the Duke Cannon Pomade Brow. This is the Anastasia Brow Freeze Brow. One thing that I like to do just to make sure my eyebrows are even is I go to the outside of the corner of my nose, not this corner of the nose, but the corner of the tip. And then I just place that there. And I do the same to the other side. That way you can make sure that your brows are always even. I used to not do this and I see it in videos and it drives me crazy. Which I don't notice it on others as much, but I do notice it on myself. So that just makes it so your brows are more symmetrical. And then I just take my pinky just to make sure it's not too squared off in the front. I don't really love a squared off brow. It's just not my style. I I feel like it looks better when it's a little softer and a little more rounded in the front. And then I'll zoom you guys in so you can see my brows up close. Alrighty, so I'm going to do my makeup and then come back and give you guys all my final thoughts on the pomade versus the Anastasia Brow Freeze. Alrighty, so I just finished the rest of my face, so my makeup is done. Now let's go over which product I like the best. So overall, I feel like the glue stick, it gives more of a matte finish, but you have to work a little bit quicker, but it is definitely more affordable than either one of these, and you can usually get a pack and it will last you forever. I definitely recommend this for people that just want something that's cheap but is still gonna hold your brows down well. The Brow Freeze, you can see a little bit of texture in my brow compared, like the Duke Cannon one is definitely more natural, but it doesn't hold quite as well. Whereas this one's set down pretty well. Like there's just a teeny bit of tackiness to it, but I feel like this one would be like waterproof. When I really want super spiky brows that are just that really fluffy look, I would definitely go with the Brow Freeze. But if you're just looking for one for every day, just to kind of hold the brows, make them look natural where you're not really looking for that super spiky look, and you don't like the feel of like a crunchy hard brow, like kind of how this one's feeling, I would definitely recommend this one for you. So I hope you guys got some good information out of this. Let me know down in the comments below which you guys would prefer for your brows. That is the end of the video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Make sure to leave your favorite brow product or favorite brow down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!